Children, now let us start the chapter Introduction to Euclid's Geometry. The word geometry is derived from the two Greek words geo and metrion. Geo means earth, metrion means to measure. Geometry is a branch of mathematics studied in various forms in every ancient civilizations, be it in Egypt, Babylonia, China, India, Greece, etc. People of all these civilizations faced many practical problems, so they developed geometry in various ways to solve their problems. For example, whenever the river Nile overflowed, it wiped out the boundaries between the adjoining fields of different landowners. After such flooding, these boundaries had to be redrawn. For this purpose, the Egyptians developed a number of geometric techniques and rules for calculating simple areas and also for doing simple construction. The knowledge of geometry was also used by them for computing volumes of granaries and for constructing canals and pyramids. They also knew the correct formula to find the volume of a truncated pyramid, and you know that pyramid is a solid figure, the base of which is a triangle or square or some other polygon, and its faces are other faces are lateral faces are triangular faces converging towards a point at the top. In the Indian subcontinent, Indus Valley civilization made extensive use of geometry. It was a highly organized society. The cities were highly developed and very well planned. For example, the roads were parallel to each other and there was an underground draining system, and the houses had many rooms of different types and different shapes. This shows that the town dwellers were skilled in mensuration and practical arithmetic. And the bricks used for construction were kiln pried, and the ratio length breadth thickness of the bricks was found 4 is to 2 is to 1. In ancient India, Sulabh Sutra were the manuals of geometrical construction. The geometry of the Vedic period originated with the construction of altars and fireplaces for performing Vedic rites. The location of the sacred fires had to be in accordance to the clearly laid down instruction about their shapes and areas. Altar were the combination of rectangles, triangles, and trapezium, which they used for public worships, and for household rituals they used square and circular shaped altars. And many examples show that geometry was being developed and applied everywhere in the world. And the Greek mathematician Thales, Pythagoras, they gave their own idea to the geometry, and Euclid, one of the Egyptian mathematician, he collected all the known work and arranged them in its famous treatise called Elements. And again the Elements is divided into 13 chapters, each is called book. Now let us discuss about Euclid's definitions, exams and postulates. Euclid's times, Greek mathematician had a thought that geometry was an abstract model of the world in which they lived. But Euclid observed the things around him and he studied the space and solids. He started his study from solids and then he came to surfaces, after he came to lines, and finally he reached the points. And he observed that solids are the three-dimensional figures having length, breadth and height. And solids are having shape, size, position and can be moved from one place to another place. That you know, you are all having solid object which are having their own shape and size and also position, and they can be moved from one place to another place. And the boundaries of the solids are surfaces. In this way he came from solids to the surfaces. After that, the boundaries of the surfaces are lines. So he reached the lines. Next, lines and in points. And you know that all these lines, surfaces and solids are made up of points only. So what is point here? A point is that which has no part. It is not having any dimension. It is just a dot. So what is point? It is that which has no part. It is not having length, breadth, height, anything it is not having. And so you can say that it is not having any dimension. It is just a dot. So here it is a point A. It is not having length, not having breadth, not having area, not having volume. Next, let us take the lines. What is line? Line is a set of point and it is having length but not breadth. So it is breadthless length. It is breadthless length. So line is having only one dimension, that is length. Line is having only one dimension, that is length. So here it is a straight line, it is a curved line. Next, let us come to the surface or plane. What is surface? Surface or plane is a set of points having two dimensions, length and breadth. And surface or plane is having length, breadth, and also it is having area. So to determine a plane, at least 3 points are required. At least 3 points are needed to determine a plane. See the examples of plane here. Here it is a triangular shape here. It is a quadrilateral shape. It is a pentagonal shape. All these are the example for the planes. And here if you think about the solid, solid is a three-dimensional figure having length, breadth and height. Solids are having area and volume. And they are also set of points. See here, this is a pyramid which is a solid. This is a cube which is a solid. This is a cuboid which is a solid. In this way, Euclid started the observation from the solids and reached the points. That is, solids, surfaces, lines and points. Here consider the 3 steps from solids to point. That is, solid, surfaces, lines and points. Each step we lose one extension and also it is called dimension. In each step here it is having 3 dimension and surface is having 2 dimension and line is having 1 dimension. Here it is having 0 dimension. Here the solid is having 3 dimension, means that is length, breadth and height. Surface is having 2 dimension, that is length and breadth. Line is having only 1 dimension, that is length, and point is not having any dimension. Euclid summarized these statements as definitions. He began his exposition by listing 23 definitions in book 1 of the Elements, and few of them are given below. So let us see one by one. First one is, a point is that which has no part, that is no dimension. A line is breadthless length. The end of a line are points. A straight line is a line which lies evenly with the points on itself. A surface is that which has length and breadth only. The edges of a surface are lines. A plane surface is a surface which lies evenly with the straight line. Euclid gave some definitions here, but in geometry, point, line, plane are the basic concepts and they are considered as undefined terms. We can explain them with the help of physical models. We can explain them with the help of physical models. Starting with his definitions, Euclid assumed certain properties which were not be proved. These assumptions are actually obvious universal truths. He divided them into two types, axioms and postulates. He used the term postulate for the assumptions that are specified to geometry, and common notions on the other hand, they are called axioms. They are the assumptions used throughout mathematics and not specifically linked to the geometry. So here let us discuss about the axioms. So what are the axioms here? They are the assumptions which can be agreed without any discussion and proof, and they are applied to all the branches of mathematics. But postulates are the special assumptions which are specific to geometry. Now let us discuss about the axioms. What are axioms? Axioms are the assumptions which are obvious universal truths which are used throughout the mathematics. Some of Euclid's axioms. First axiom is things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. Things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. Let us take one example here. If A equals B and A is also equals to C, A equals B and A is also equals to C, then here B must be equals to C. Then B is equals to C. Here two things B and C are equals to the same thing A. Therefore, the two things B and C must be equal. So, things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. Again, you take the second example. Here, AB is equals to XY. AB is equals to XY. CD is also equals to XY. The things AB and CD are equals to the same thing XY. So, AB must be equals to CD. The things AB and CD are equals to the same things, therefore they must be equal to one another. This is about the first axiom. And second axiom. If equals are added to equals, the wholes are equal. If equals are added to equals, the wholes are equal. See here, first example, that is, if x equals y, then x plus a is equals to y plus a. Here x and y are the equals, and the same thing or equals are added to both x and y here. So, the wholes x plus a and y plus a becomes equal. Second one, if two persons are having rupees 50 each and rupees 20 is given to both, rupees 20 is given to each, then the both will have equal amount, that is rupees 20. Here rupees 50 are equals, rupees 20 are equal, and the sum also becomes 70, they are also equal. So here if equals are added to equals, the wholes are equal. Next, one more example let us take here. Here AB and CD are two lines, they are equal. Here AB is equals to CD, and also BE and DF are also equal, and B is added to AB, B is added to AB, and DF is added to CD. Here AB and CD are equal, B and DF are also equal, and the equals are added to equals. AB plus BE and CD plus DF here, they must be equal. AB plus BE becomes AE and CD plus DF becomes CF. They becomes equal. Here the equals are added to equals, so the wholes also becomes equal. The third axiom is, if equals are subtracted from equals, the remainders are equal. If equals are subtracted from equals, the remainders are equal. So you take one example. If x equals y, then x minus a is equals to y minus a. Here x and y are the equals, and a, the equals are subtracted from the equals. So it is x minus a is equals to y minus a. And second example let us take. Here LM is equals to PQ. LM is equals to PQ, and AM is also is equals to BQ. AM is also is equals to BQ. So let us remove AM from LM, and also let us remove BQ from PQ. So LA becomes equals to PB. Here the equals AM and BQ are subtracted from the equals LM and PQ. The remainder LA and PB are also equals. The remainders LA and PB are also equals. And the next exam, fourth exam, is things which coincides with one another are equal to one another. Things which coincide with one another are equal to one another. You know that if you keep one thing on the other, if they coincides with one another, then you can say that they are equal to one another. For example, if you keep the triangle PQR on the triangle ABC, they coincides with one another. Then you can say that triangle ABC is equals to triangle PQR. If you keep one book on the other book, if they coincides with one another, then you can say that the two books are here equal. Two books are equal. That is about the fourth exam. The things which coincides with one another are equal to one another. Next, the whole is greater than its part. You may experience that if any thing is cut into many pieces, the pieces are smaller than the whole thing. Means the whole thing is greater than its pieces. So for example, you take, if A is a whole part, that is the sum of B plus C. Here B and C are the parts of A. Then naturally you know that A must be greater than B and also A must be greater than C. Here B and C are the parts of A. Therefore, the whole A must be greater than B and also it is greater than C. And also let us take this rectangle ABCD, and if it is cut into two pieces, APQD and RBCS. And you know that here area of ABCD is equals to area of APQD and RBCS, and naturally area of ABCD is greater than the area of the APQD and also it is greater than the area of the RBCS. In this way you can clear that the whole is greater than its part. Next, sixth exam is things which are double of same things are equal to one another. That is natural. Consider here A is double of to X and B is also double of X. Then A must be equals to B. Here A is equals to 2X, B is also is equals to 2X, then A must be equals to B. Consider here the line AB is double of the line CD. Line PQ is also double of the line CD. So AB must be equals to PQ. The line AB is double of CD and line PQ is also double of CD. Therefore, the lines AB, PQ which are double of CD must be equals to each other. So AB is equals to PQ. Next, things which are halves of the same things are equal to one another. Here you take the line PQ is half of the line AB and line RS is also half of the line AB. So PQ and RS are halves of AB. So here PQ must be equals to RS. PQ must be equals to RS. So here you can clear that things which are halves of the same things are equals to one another. This is about the sixth exam. So what is the first exam? Things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. If equals are added to equals, the wholes are equal. If equals are subtracted from equals, the remainders are equals. Things which coincide with one another are equal to one another. The whole is greater than its part. Things which are double of the same things are equal to one another. Things which are halves of the same things are equal to one another. This is about the Euclid's 7 exams.